Cannonball Nation, it's hump day. Wednesday night, that means it's time to go live with Cannonball Chronicles. Can't wait to get in this one. It's going to be a fantastic guest. Good to see all you guys checking in from warm and cold parts of the country. Jimmy Bradley coming in from Milwaukee. I know it's cold up there. Chase number 22 online. Multi-Moose. Walter Bednarski, hump day in snowy New Jersey. Mike Draco here with us. John Frew, oh my goodness. Harry, good to see you. Indonesia. Look at the reach they give us from Choppertown and Cycle Source, man. So good. Hey, man, remember to hit the like and share button. Help us get this program out all over the motorcycle universe. Let your friends and neighbors know when we go live with the Motorcycle Cannonballs every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a beat. 2.5 minutes. We're going live tonight. Stick around. Shanley, FTW. That's right. I did forget the whistle. There's a little whoop whistle for you. 10 inches of snow in Cincinnati. Oh my God, it's time to move, Mike. Mary Butson from Minnesota. Nancy Weems, we were waiting for you to show up. Thanks for checking in. Thanks to all you guys for checking in with these shows from the Source Media Group, man. We really appreciate it. Doing our best to keep the motorcycle community together through all these times and beyond. Check out our other shows by hitting the Cycle Source Magazine Facebook page. We do shop talks on Sundays and, more importantly, coast to coast on Tuesday. Rob Nussbaum, hit your like and share button. Good advice. Good advice. 58 seconds. We're going live. Okay, with 28 seconds left, I think it's time to get this one up out of the garage and onto the road and go live with this week's installment of the Motorcycle Cannonball Chronicles. Here we go.
Cannonball Nation, what's happening? That's right, it's Wednesday night. That's time for another episode of Cannonball Chronicles. I didn't know if I'd make it back in time today. The weather was so nice here that I forgot that we had this show tonight. So I had to beat feet home and get back and get on track so we could get you some good entertainment, some good Cannonball stories tonight. We got a really great guest. I love this dude. He's got so many cool stories. Probably one of the best dressed dudes I know. And yeah, I'm excited to have him. So without further ado, I want to bring in my co-host, my man, Mr. Robbie Nussbaum. What's happening, Robbie?
Hey, how you doing, Jason? What's going on, buddy?
Oh, not too much, man. I'm just I actually really feel sorry for, everybody in the Midwest and up east, like now with you guys that below zero temperatures and all the snow and the cold. And, I'm down here, I may have to put on a sweatshirt tonight. I don't know.
Yeah, shut up. Were you out riding today?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
What,
So
what were you riding today? What was
I
your
was on
ride?
the old WLA, the Hot Rod 45.
Yeah, boy. How's Miss
So,
Velda doing?
uh, she's all right. She's all right. She needs a little bit of attention. I
Uh-oh.
beat her up a little bit in Sturgis last year, and you know, I got to make her feel good again one of these days. It's just been too busy. So
For those of you who don't know, Miss Velda is Jason's 34 VL Harley Davidson. Nice bike.
love that bike.
That's a
Love
nice
that.
bike. Yeah, definitely.
So what you been up to up there?
Oh, just, service work, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Just keeping busy, doing some eBay, selling some parts, Same old, same old. We're busy.
Nice.
It's
That's good.
busy. Yeah. Yeah. Retro cycles are hopping.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Well, I want to give before we get really rolling here tonight, just go over a few things. First, I want to give a shout out to my friends out there at Hot Leathers for sending me this nice, cool flannel shirt out there. They know I like to dress good and been seeing what I've been wearing, so they said, "Hey, let us send you one of these and try it out." And here it is, man. I've been wearing it all day. It's freaking comfortable. Really built well. Arms are good length for riding, all that kind of stuff. So you like what you see, pop on over to Hot Leathers. They
Another one
got
of our great sponsors, too.
yeah, they got a lot of great styles out there. So thanks again to Hot Leathers for letting me try this out. And of course, you guys out there, if you want me to try one of your products out,
Oh, here we go. Just send it to Rob at Retrocycle, 301 Rockaway Valley Road, Boonton, New Jersey. I'll make sure Jason gets it. And let's not forget these guys up here, right?
Yeah, gas guys.
We're being brought to you tonight from the Banks Gas Studios. And we can't say enough good things about the Banks brothers and their great products and support that they've given us. And all the people up in the logo roll above Jason's head there. Let's not forget those guys in Choppertown. Thanks to Choppertown for all their support and Cycle Source. And did you have something else you wanted to bring up tonight?
Yeah. I mean, on a little bit of a somber note, we lost a really great friend, a past Cannonball rider, and a Cannonball supporter. Mr. Dale Waxler passed away this last week, and a big loss to the motorcycle Cannonball community, and and then the motorcycle community in a whole. I mean,
yeah, he touched so many lives in this hobby, especially the Cannonball. Dale was a go-to guy a lot of times for just things you needed to actually compete in the event that you run now. So he's definitely going to be missed. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Trish and to Matt and the whole gang down there at Wheels Through Time. I know it's a big loss, and hopefully they can press on and keep the tradition alive down there.
Yeah, that'd be definitely some tough shoes to fill, but I think those guys down there will keep the tradition going and help the old bike community out by, helping with parts and the knowledge, and that's one of the biggest things is losing that part of the knowledge. So,
and if nobody's ever been there.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I like to talk to people about, in my travels and talking to the people is, hey, pass this knowledge on to other people, try not to keep everything a secret. And, if you know something, explain it to somebody. And, you don't have to give away all the trade secrets, but, hey, help me learn a little bit, what's this part go on? What is this part? And, learn about this stuff. We got to keep this stuff going on. So,
yeah. Dale was a true inspiration to a lot of people.
Right. Walking encyclopedia,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And he always made you feel welcome when you went down there to the museum, What a great museum they have down there, too. So if you've never been there and you're going through Maggie Valley, North Carolina, make sure you stop. If you're anywhere near there, make sure you stop in. It's a great place.
buy some raffle tickets. You know, they give away a great bike every year. Helps keep the place open. So yeah, help support them.
Yeah. So what else is on your mind there, Buckaroo? Did I just call you Buckaroo?
Weird. No, I don't really. I mean, I'm busy working on the events right now. We're almost 100% locked in on the Cannonball for this September. It's going to be a great route from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, down to South Padre Island, Texas, and we're going to put a great event together. Reached out to all the riders here the last week, and just been getting their feeling on what's happening and if they're in, if they're out, and for the most part, 99.9% of everybody says, "Hey, we're with you. We're doing it regardless." So we're doing it, baby.
There you go.
So in between that, we're working on the chase. We trying to put together this little mini chase is what I'm calling it for this year. So hopefully we'll have some details coming out on that here pretty quick. We've got some kind of dates locked down now and a tentative route. And so hopefully we'll get it together here and get it out to you guys.
Sounds good.
Fantastic.
Which
brings you out there on that old knucklehead.
Fantastic, yes. The old knucklehead, which is stuck in the garage right now.
Yeah.
Cold weather's got her down.
Fair weather rider.
Could be. Could be.
Come on, man.
It's either snow or mud season here, depending on what day you're tuned into. So, hey, it's only 2 more months before things start to clear up, and Ole's on the horizon. So, the Ole Antique Meet. So,
dude, we're
in Pennsylvania. So that should be good.
5 days from Daytona.
Is it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Cool.
4th, 5th, and 6th down in Daytona. We'll be down there. And then a couple of weeks later, we'll be over in Texas for the Texas Fandango. Then we'll probably head up to Kelly Maudlin's there in Wichita, Kansas at the Twisted Oz Museum. So events are happening, people. You got to get out there.
They're happening.
We're rolling again.
So what do you say? You want to bring in tonight's guest?
Yeah, I'm excited. Our guest tonight's a good one. So let's bring him in. Well, hey guys, what's happening?
Hey.
Nice to see you. Been a while.
Hi, Paul. Hey,
Yeah,
Susan. How are you?
It's probably been a year since the last auction, huh?
Yeah, you and I saw each other at Las Vegas. Yeah, so it wasn't this January, but the year before, just before lockdown, in fact.
Right. Yeah.
Oh well,
that's right.
Amazingly, I usually do the commentary for NBCSN for Mecum Auctions, but it sounds like they're going to shut down the network. So I'm not sure if I'm doing any more TV gig for them. We'll see.
Oh, no kidding. I mean, actually, NBC is going to go off the network.
CSN, yeah, I think they're shutting it down in favor of some other, the new Peacock network or something like that. So I don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully I'll continue my TV gig with the auctions.
You heard it here tonight, folks. Breaking news from Paul.
Let's just get into it for the people that don't really know who Paul is. Paul, give us a little bit of background on yourself.
Well, I started a motorcycle blog. It was probably the first old motorcycle blog back in 2006 called The Vintagent. And so for the last 14 years, that's been kind of my gig. I had a previous career kind of doing interior design and decorative painting, and I quit that gig about 10 years ago to work on The Vintagent full time. And I write for a lot of magazines, I write books, and I curate exhibits, mostly at the Peterson Museum, and do all sorts of cool stuff. And I've Susan McLaughlin and I, who's my photographic partner and life partner, have done the Cannonball 4 times. 3 times riding and 1 time strictly in 2016 following the ride and taking wet plate photos, which is what we're going to talk about first, I guess.
Right. So what was the first Cannonball that you competed in? Was it 2010 or 2012?
It was 2012. I was living in France actually in 2010. So getting out together the whole scene and rounding up a pre-1916 bike was just too daunting. I did manage to catch y'all at the very end on the Santa Monica Pier, but I did write about it for the Vintagent. But yeah, so my first ride was in 2012. Basically, I signed up for the ride, and I guess around June before the rally, Susan and I started doing wet plate photographs together. Susan had learned how to do it, the process, in 2010?
Yeah, I've been doing wet plate photography for about over 10 years. And then I knew it was something that Paul would be interested in. And it's an old process, and it kind of is conducive to, anything old. And it's a beautiful quality photograph. So yeah, we thought we would do it together. We would try to take these photos together across the country.
So knowing that the Cannonball was really easy, we decided to convert our backup van, my old Sprinter, into a darkroom and do the Cannonball, maintain the bike, and take a really difficult antique photographic process too. So it was an eventful year.
So is wet plate photography strictly what they would refer to as tintype, or is wet plate encompass some other forms of photography?
They could be on tin, and the photos could also be taken on glass. But because we were traveling across the United States, we did all of our photographs on tin. So, that is one way they call them, is our tin type photographs. But if they're on glass, then they become a glass plate negative. And so that's a little bit different, but it's the same process.
But we were a lot less likely to break tin sheets than glass going across the country. Yeah. So we opted for easy.
Now, were the original tin plates, were they silvered? Is that what they used to use? Do they still use silver? I know the silver was involved in the photographic process for a while.
Yeah, I think you're thinking about daguerreotypes, which are copper plates. But these are just black painted, they're actually aluminum plates that we coat with a photographic material, soak them in silver nitrate, and then they're film. And we have about 5 minutes from when we pull them out of our silver tank to photographing our subject and then processing them, or they go dry and they're ruined.
Yeah, so they're coated in a silver bath. So the plate is coated in silver. So that's the way you get the photograph.
Yeah, I knew there was some silver involved somewhere, which brings us to tonight's topic. Since we have you on, we decided we would have you do the 1,000-word segment. I understand you gave us a movie, and maybe we can go through this. The pictures flip quickly, but we'll go through it. You can talk about it a little bit as it's going on, and we'll talk about it on the other side. But let's take a look at what you submitted, and this segment is called 1,000 Words.
So what you're looking at is what's called a photo book dummy, which is a mock-up of a book that we're intending to publish of photographs that were taken on the 2012, 2014, and 2018 Cannonballs. So you'll recognize a lot of these writers. You have Dean Bordegioni's team from 2012 there.
John Zalay.
We took a lot of, that's getting Pennsylvania. We took photographs of landscapes and people and motorcycles and buildings. And there's Steve Kimura's team, Dan Emerson with his knucklehead, that's 2014. You know, so it's a real variety. You know, we wanted to, for this particular book, kind of create a mood. There's actually no words in it. It's just the photographs and what we call full bleed, which means the photo takes up the entire page. And that was Paul Uzi. This is a pond in Kansas. There's Lonnie on the right. You know, we met so many amazing people, and in those 3 Cannonballs, we took about 800 photos.
Yeah.
And so it was a real process to edit this down.
That's Chris, yeah.
That was Chris Simmons, yeah.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, we would have, I mean, there were so many opportunities to do all sorts of photos, but we tried to capture at times, especially as the years went by, we were trying to capture where we actually were and to do a little bit more landscape and to get a little bit more of the feeling of where we were. So that was difficult. It was difficult because we were also trying to take the riders. And I mean, that's a beautiful photograph. Yeah.
I mean, personalities. I mean, it's really showing through from what I'm seeing. I mean, this thing's going to be beautiful.
Monument.
Yeah. There you are, Jason.
Jason, you're on the left there. And that's
Sean.
Yeah, and Sean and Bill.
And Bill.
So I know you guys have been working on it for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, even from the first in 2012, I had in mind that this would be a book. And it's been a heck of a process because when you've got, it's kind of hard to describe, you know, creating a book of photographs is kind of like writing a poem or a piece of music. It has to have a rhythm and it has to have some kind of sensible internal structure, like some kind of narrative, even if it's not spelled out in words, people understand intuitively that there's a narrative. And so it took a long time to get to really down to the crux of what this particular book was going to be. It wasn't just going to be all the Cannonball riders in every photograph, because that would be like a massive 3-volume piece of work. You know, we just kind of wanted to catch the feeling of what it's like to cross the United States with a group of old motorcycle nutcases. And with a really difficult photographic process. You know, anybody who saw us jumping in and out of our van, you know, when it's 90 degrees out and we're sweating like pigs and we've got, you know, a 10-minute break to catch 5 riders, it's like, it was a very intense process. And, you know, the riders were all super gracious. And, you know, in the 2016 Cannonball, I think we caught almost everybody.
But the first year, I will say the first year that we went across, I mean, they didn't know who we were. The way we were taking photographs was not traditional. I mean, not 21st century traditional. So I think there was some resistance and they felt like, who are you? What are you doing? What is that big camera? I don't want to sit still for 3 seconds. I want to just carry on. And so we had some trouble, a little bit of trouble, but then as the years went by, I think they got used to us. I think all the writers got used to us, and they learned that actually some of these photographs turn out pretty awesome, kind of epic. And so I think they actually wanted photos taken of them, and they would approach us and ask us and say, oh yeah, you know, take my photo now. And that was kind of interesting because, you know, been a photographer my whole life, but I've never done a process like this. It's such a slow, long process. And it's not that conducive to this kind of situation, but it worked out pretty well. I think
Everybody thought we were crazy.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
They were. I mean, you guys just had so much on your plate. I mean, especially in 2012 when, Paul, you're riding and trying to do some of that other stuff. I mean, your 2012 ride wasn't a fun ride. I mean, I know you had fun, but you had a lot of, didn't you?
it was pretty bad.
I learned the joy of trying to rebuild an overhead camshaft motor in the motel parking lot in Kansas under a street light. I mean,
mechanics.
It was intense. I mean, I used a racing bike. It was a Velocette KTT from 1933. I'd ridden this bike tens of thousands of miles. I'd taken it on week-long 1,000-mile rallies like 10 times. And I expected it to be completely reliable. And I completely rebuilt the bike, like from stem to stern. I didn't do anything cosmetic. I just checked all the bearings and, I mean, literally took it down to the last nut and bolt. And when I finished putting it back together, the one piece that didn't arrive in time was a camshaft. And so I put the bike together with kind of a unknown quantity camshaft, and it wasn't the same shape as the original. So I just made a good guess, or what I thought was a good guess about the camshaft timing. And it ran. I stuck it on a truck and it went to the East Coast. And when we fired up in Newburgh, New York, the bike sounded great. It was a little louder than usual, which was strange. Like it had more of a rasp. And so I actually drilled holes in I was running a straight pipe. I actually drilled holes in the straight pipe to soften the exhaust tone a little bit. But within like 2 miles, I had seized my exhaust valve. and I thought that the clearance was too tight on the exhaust valve stem. So we actually we were at the Motorcyclopedia Museum.
Let me interrupt you. Are you the one? Were you at Steve McPhillips's fixing that? Did I meet you at Steve McPhillips's place fixing in Newburgh, fixing your bike?
Exactly.
Oh, that's funny.
Right, that's right.
Exactly.
That's funny. I was there. I stopped in that day after watching the beginning. And I stopped in and I remember Steve saying, we're working on a British bike here, which we never do. And I met you and you were furiously working on the bike. Oh, that's hysterical.
Well, you know, it was kind of amazing. We tore the bike down. He honed out the exhaust valve guide. I put it all back together. I retimed it and it ran again. And
for about 2 miles.
I think it was more like 10. And I knew there was a problem. And so I had FedExed the missing camshaft to us at our first hotel in New York, and it arrived. And the next day I tried to put it on and something wasn't right and I needed machining. And so I visited every home mechanic between, New York and Sturgis to try and work on this thing, including Joe Roeder, who was awesome. No, yeah, we showed up at his place in Ohio, right?
Midwest, yeah.
Yeah, Ohio.
We showed up at his shop at like 5 o'clock one evening, and I brought this cylinder head to this racing Velocette, and he was so gracious. I had no idea who he was. I mean, I just knew there was a shop there, and so since then I've learned that he's awesome. His dad was super awesome, and it's like having my bike worked on by royalty. But I had run out of straight exhaust valves at that point. So he modified a Sportster valve for my exhaust. And I still had to wait till we got to Sturgis, where I used Lonnie Isom Sr.'s workshop to turn down the camshaft so it fit on everything. And it ran amazing. I'm sure you remember, Jason, when I finally got that thing fired up. It was a joy.
You didn't have no problems after that, did you?
Well, then you did a number of miles on that bike.
Yeah. I did not finish the rally.
But that was where you did the most amount of miles. Yeah. Once you got that fixed, then you did the 1,000 miles.
I did 1,000 miles. What I hadn't realized was the bike had been built for racing, and it had special rocker arms for the overhead cams that were like a 1/4 inch longer so that he could use stiffer springs. And I didn't realize that this bike had non-standard extra stiff springs. So after 1,000 miles with a different camshaft, a different rocker arm ratio, it just wore the cam to a nubbin. I was like, God, the bike is running worse and worse. And I finally took off the cam cover, and it's like this little flat square cam in there and a lot of metal.
No.
And that was the end of my ride. I was in Idaho. Man, what is that? Something of the Moon in Idaho? What's that part?
Valley of the Moon? Or?
Yeah, is it Valley of the Moon, that national park in Idaho where there's literally not a tree for like 70 miles. And that's where my bike died. I hate that part.
So needless to say, you're not going back there, right?
No. I'd be grateful if you didn't put it on the rally again.
So look, we're going to have to
move to 14.
Hold on, Jason. We're going to take a break here, and then we'll come back and finish out. So let's support our sponsors, take a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Ever since I was younger than Gavin, I knew that I wanted to ride. I'd see a group of bikes going down the highway with all their gear packed on, and I just thought that I definitely want to do that. That's what I want to do. My current bike is a 2016 Harley-Davidson Road Glide Ultra. I think it would be awesome if when he's old enough to ride, you know. I'd love to be able to go riding with him. He won't want to ride on the back forever. We just did an exhaust swap, well, slip-on exhaust swap.
My favorite part is when screwed both out, took them out. He did a test sound before that, and when it was all out, it was louder than it was before.
Oh, because we pulled the baffles out, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yep. I want to take people with me in my travels and stuff and show them the Midwest, not just for the Midwest, but just to encourage people to get out there and explore. I'm Andrew, this is my son Gavin, and we are a Dennis Kirk family.
Hi, I'm Tom. I'm with Banks Brothers Motorcycles. One of the things I want to show you today is our new improved engine puller.
The changes to this machine has been in the arms and in the hands. We put hind joints in the hand to allow rotation of the engine, which makes it easier to get it in and out of the frame. With the angle change, we have equal clamping pressure on them. And over here we have what's called the posi lock, which allows this to be locked in place and the engine can't swing from side to side.
And we're going to show you just how easy it is to pull the motor out of the bike right now. George is actually going to come in, make contact with the cylinders, tighten it down, and pull it out of there.
You lift it up, rotate it, and bring the assembly out of the frame. You see the motor starting to move, and it centers itself. This allows no side play once the motor's in place, and it keeps it safe. It can't fall out.
Visit BanksBrothersMotorcycles.com to order your Banks lift.
Great product.
Absolutely. I still owe everybody a video of that stuff. I'm working on it.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see what you're doing with it. I understand you just for excitement, you just lift the engine up and down and in and out, move it around the shop. And
I do. Basically. So anyway, our guest tonight is Paul Diorlan, and we've been talking to him so far about his tintype photography and just being a participant here in the Cannonball. And let's get back with these guys and talk some more Cannonball. I'm anxious to hear some stories about 14.
Yeah, 2014, we teamed up with Revival Cycles in Austin and with Brian Bozier of Sinless Cycles in Louisiana. And Brian has an exceptional collection of motorcycles, including a bunch of Bruff Superiors, which he just sold to Jason Momoa. But he loaned us a 1933.
What?
This is inside information, guys. Shh, you didn't hear from me. Anyway, so we rode a 1933 Bruff Superior, and I had owned 5 Bruff Superiors since the 1980s when they were cheap. So I had a fair amount of experience with them, but it sure made a difference having a professional mechanic on board in the Revival Cycles team. Chris Davis, he looked after that bike and we didn't have a single problem. And it was such a good ride. Susan can talk about riding on the back of a Bruff at 70 miles an hour in Tennessee.
Yeah, I went across the United States on that bike, and it was, well, halftime, because was that the year we shared?
Yeah, we shared the bike.
We shared with every other day, Revival. But I mean, every day I was on it. It was amazing. It was so much fun. It was awesome, and we didn't have a problem, and we went fast, and we had a lot of fun. We stopped where we wanted to, and it was, what a cool bike.
I should mention that Susan's first time on a motorcycle was in 2011, I think, with me. And we were doing hot laps around Laguna Seca. and I handed her my 35 millimeter camera, and I said, just take pictures of everybody as we pass them. And that was her introduction to motorcycling.
So when people would stop me, when we would get gas, people would ask me, a lot of women actually asked me, they're like, oh my God, how do you do that? How do you sit on the back of that bike? And I was like, I don't know. It feels fine. It's kind of feels normal. What is that? Ignorance is bliss. If you don't know what a really cushy,
I won't let her ride a new Harley.
No, Harley or BMW.
And don't ever put her on a Goldwing. Fall asleep.
It feels actually really good. I mean, I liked it, and it was so much fun. So much fun. I loved it.
Yeah, we were one of the few.
2014, I remember.
Go ahead,
Jason.
I think maybe Jason froze up. Now would be a good time to take a look at some of the photos that you brought us, and let's talk about those a little bit. I think there's a picture of your camera in one of the photos. So if we can roll those pictures, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what we're looking at. Well, there's the team, right?
The team. Tell us about this.
Well, I mean, this photo, we were in a studio in New York. That's a very oversized, really large camera. But it's something, a much smaller scale is what we used on the Cannonball. But this is one of the only photos. Of course, when you're a photographer, you don't have very many photos of yourself. So this was one photo that we actually have of ourselves, but it was not on the Cannonball. But it shows an old camera that we were taking photos with.
Susan's actually the president of the board at the Penumbra Foundation, which is a photographic institution in New York that's dedicated to basically pre-digital photography and alternative process photography. So, and they have a beautiful studio, and that's where that photo was taken. We were messing around with a 20 by 24 inch plate. They're called mammoth plates. It's enormous.
Gigantic.
Plate. And you could see under my arm, that was a lens that's this big around. It's awesome.
So what we take out on the Cannonball is a little 5x4, right? Yeah. So it's a wonderful little camera that we travel with, and it's super easy. And but here we were in New York, taking some photos with a huge camera and a huge.
It was a fun self-portrait.
Yeah, fun.
Well, I think we got Jason back, and he was starting to say something. So you there, buddy?
I'm back here. I got a question about that camera though. First, is it possible that you can actually take selfies with those things?
Yeah, we have done it before. If we have a really, really long exposure, like 30 seconds, we can open the lens cap and run in front of the camera and stand still, and we'll catch ourselves.
In what year was it, Paul, when we were the Bill Roden song?
2014.
In 2014, when we have a portrait of us, and Bill, I
Oh,
mean,
no, that's 2016,
sorry.
sorry, or
And-
18, 16.
16. Anyway, we set ourselves up, and then Bill, you know, all you have to do is take the lens cap off for a couple seconds and put it back on, and then you get a photograph. So it's not exactly a selfie, but Bill was super capable and able to take the lens cap off for a few seconds and take that photo of us. And so it's fun, you know. You can, if there's someone that you're traveling with that's a photographer, you can, it's not hard to get a photo
No.
taken of yourself.
And that photo that Susan's referring to was in 2016 when we weren't riding, and we were in Dodge City, Kansas at a rest day, and Bill had brought along his 1915 Harley Racer, and Dodge City was a location of one of the races that bike had won, the Dodge City 200. And Bill had worked out the GPS coordinates of the original location of the board track, which was in an amaranth field now. But we went out there, and there was a spot like on a little dirt road where we stopped, and we took a portrait of Bill and his bike, and with his daughters Willa and Cassidy, and then he did us the favor of returning, taking a photograph of us with his bike. It was really cool.
It was really sweet.
That was cool.
A lot of great stuff. Cannonball.
Yeah, those are the kind of moments, you know. I loved it that Bill was traveling across the United States with his daughters, and they were his backup crew, and it was so great, you know. And he understood what we were doing, and he really wanted that photograph of him taken in that field where that bike, you know, had won that race. And so, you know, we captured moments that are, I mean, you know, maybe there's going to be a condo there someday or something, but, you know, at least we got it. We got it. We got him in the field with his daughters, and it was great. Beautiful.
That was just a legendary shot. I mean, and we seen it through the camera all there. It was killer. So, hey, before I got locked up there earlier, I was trying to bring up a memory or memories from 2014 is how I remember Paul and the riding style. And, you know, I was riding a knucklehead and in a group of 5 guys. And, you know, we were the guys to look up to. We were the fast of the fast and the gang. And, you know, we passed everybody and last to leave, all that kind of stuff. But then, you know, Paul would come up behind us and pass us like we were standing still, you know, and come to find out he was leaving a half hour after us and, you know, getting in before us. And I mean, that guy was just moving that bruff across the country, probably 80 miles an hour, and doing it 2 up and just having a smile on his face the whole entire time. But, you know, it's kind of funny that, you know, we thought we were the cock of the walks, and, you know, here we got stopped on by a freaking bruff.
Well, they did build the fastest motorcycles in the world in the time. So, but a lot of Americans have never really experienced that. I mean, you know, I mean, the Knucklehead was the hottest bike unless you owned a Crocker in the 30s, but, you know, a Bruff was still faster than either. So we were super lucky to have like a really nice Bruff. And I've been lucky on the 3 times I've actually ridden on the Cannonball. I've had the fastest bike in the Cannonball. It's kind of spoiled me. I got offered a 28 101 Scout to ride on the chase. I was like, dude, that's too slow. I want your Series A Vincent to ride down.
But so, Paul, I'm wondering though, one thing I always am wondering about it, because I don't ride motorcycles myself, I ride on the back. But so that bike that we were on that first year, was that a typical bike that it would have 2 up? Or they had to kind of modify it so that we could have 2 up?
No, it was a period rear seat. It was sprung. It was a Terry saddle. It's like a square piece of Rexine with a handle on it, like a freaking China buggy. You know, she's doing 70 miles an hour holding onto this little thing, springing up and down on a rigid frame bike and loving every minute.
No.
She's a treasure.
No, but whenever I saw the bumps coming, I just stood up. I was like, okay, no, I'm not sitting in the seat through these bumps. But it was really quite a thing. It was amazing. What a great adventure.
Yeah, Cannonball is an incredible adventure. thanks, Jason, for keeping it up.
So then on 16, you guys came along just as tintype photographers and captured the style of everybody there. How did that feel to like not be able to ride and see everything and just kind of, you know, do it with your band and do pictures?
Well, it was a real commitment to, you know, kind of like doubling down on the commitment to document this incredible event with this weird ass process that we were using, and knowing that it would eventually become, you know, a printed project. So in that way, it was like a commitment to our artistic sort of process over riding a motorcycle, which is something, of course, you know, I've been doing since I was 15 and love, you know, so much, especially on fabulous older motorcycles. And so, you know, there were plenty of times when I was like, oh man, I wish I was on a bike right now. Every day I felt that, but we got a lot of amazing photos, you know, so it was worth it. And in 2018, you know, we gave up on the idea of trying to document it. And I just wanted to ride a bike across the country without jumping in and out of a van and without worrying where we're going to take photos. And so, you know, once again, Brian Bozier from Sinless Cycles loaned us a rough Superior, except he loaned us like the king of the heap. He loaned us a 1925 SS100, you know, a bike that was guaranteed to do over 100 miles an hour when it was new. And this bike had a built engine, so it was insane. I would have cruised all day at 90 miles an hour, except it had clincher tires, and we were pumping them up to 60 pounds because we didn't make every mile, because the first day the thing had so much power, it's literally ripping the inner tubes out of the tires. So we finally figured out we used like rubber cement or some kind of glue on the tires, and then put sheet metal screws all around through the rim into the tire, and that cured the flat tire situation. But there were many, many times that I was like in Montana and stuff where I was down on the tank doing 95, 100 miles an hour. It was awesome motorcycle. And that was before I realized my forks were broken, by the way.
I'm not a two-up.
No. Well, Susan rode a two-up. There's a photo there of Susan on the back of this bike that Michael Lichter took.
Well,
Paul, I have a question for you. What's it like riding a Brough Superior in the rain? What's that like?
What's it riding in the rain?
A Brough Superior in the rain.
You know. It's just a motorcycle, man. I've owned a lot of motorcycles. It's just a motorcycle. And, you know, so it's worth $500,000, whatever. It's a motorcycle. It's got insurance, you know, and I'm a pretty good rider. I don't usually drop a machine. So that's why people loan them to me. I don't have a reputation for blowing them up or dropping them.
Right. There you go. What do you have a favorite memory of the Cannonball that you want to, I mean, so you've been involved in so many of them. Perhaps one thing stands out above anything else?
You know, we have so many memories. I mean, there was a time in Tennessee where Susan was on the back, and the roads, I think it was when we were coming out of Red Boiling Springs. And, you know, Tennessee is like, is tobacco country. And I had never been there. And so we were riding through all these beautiful fields, and all the tobacco drying barns look like they're falling apart, but they're built that way. Every other slat is missing so they can ventilate as the tobacco dries, and in the old fashioned, you know, farms. And we stopped one in front of one farm.
Yeah.
And just to take a couple of pictures.
We just decided, oh, this is so picturesque, and we want to take a picture of this barn. And we started to take photos, and then this lovely man, I mean, with a beautiful Southern accent, came out and was really kindly wondering what we were up to. We said, well, he loved the motorcycle and we loved his barn. And we just said, well, you know, we're just here, we're going across country, and this barn is so beautiful. And then he gave us a full tour of this tobacco drying process, which, you know, we never expected. So it was these kind of unexpected, you know, beautiful, sort of interesting connections with people who understood in some way, they understood what we were doing. They looked at this bike and they knew it was something amazing. And we also looked at their thing, whatever they were doing. And it was a cool thing. It was like a connection where you get to talk to people across the country and share something of our stuff. And he shared his thing, and he gave us a full tour of
cool.
the tobacco barn.
Yeah.
And, you know, I knew nothing about tobacco. I was like, wow, that was quite an education. And yeah.
Well, you just saw a minute ago, that was our 2014 Cannonball bike. Awesome motorcycle. I would say that, you know, 99.999% of the experiences we had on the Cannonball were like ecstatic. You know, I was never once bored on the ride because the United States is a fascinating and beautiful country, you know, and we stopped constantly to take photographs in amazing places. This is in Nevada in 2014 on our way up to Washington. And we did have a couple of, you know, negative things happen. We had a big ass knife pulled on us once in Colorado, in Colorado Springs. We parked to adjust something on the bike, and some homeless guy had his tent there, and he came rushing out thinking we were trying to steal his stuff, and he had a massive hog sticker in his hand. It was like, whoa! But we talked our way out of it. And our riding partner, Alan, had a shotgun pulled on him in Iowa, actually, which was a little more serious, and the cops had to be called, and I had to give a police report, and it was that was an interesting moment. But these are unusual. Fodder for a rider like myself, you know. That's 2016. That's Susan and I on the 1925 SS100 Rough Superior. And
that's
tell us how
Mac
comfortable
Daddy
that
right there, man.
Tell us about
what? It's a what?
Tell us how he said it's the Mac Daddy.
I don't know. It was fine.
No, you hated it.
No, that one?
That one.
Oh, no, that one was horrible. Every time we went over any bump, I wanted to stand up. And I mean, yeah, that one was, I didn't ride much more after that. I think it was just not right. It wasn't meant to be for two people, I don't think.
60-pound inflation on the clinchers and like hard as a rock. And it had a seat pad. There's the bike.
Is that
it?
it?
And it's got a flat tire in that
already.
picture too.
It already
was
has.
the first freaking day. Oh my God. We had 3 flats in one day.
I mean, I love this photo. It looks so romantic and beautiful. But then, you know, the people that know about motorcycles are like, oh, what the fuck? You've got a flat tire. And like, oh shit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But it's cute.
Were those clinchers on there?
Yep. 2.5-inch wide clinchers. Horrible tires. Tires are much better nowadays. I'm shocked at anybody running clinchers on the Cannonball. They're pretty uncomfortable, but people do. People run them.
I urge them not to, but you know, I mean, people want to do it in the spirit.
Yeah. Another Cannonball memory with that SF100 was when we got to Glacier Point, Glacier National Park. I had a lot of time in hand because I've been kind of cooking it through Wyoming, and I found a little just before you got into the park. There's a gravel road that's actually an entrance to the park, but it doesn't go all the way across on going to the Sun Road. But it was a beautiful road, and there was snow on the mountains, and they were right there. So I took that road 15 miles, and I filmed it, and I rode back out, and I rode across the going to the Sun Road, which was ecstatic. I think there's a picture of me with the SS100 on the peak of going to the Sun Road but it wasn't until we stopped for the day that we realized, number one, the exhaust valve on the front cylinder was loose and we needed to replace it. And while we were working on it, we saw there's that epic shot on Glacier Point.
Oh, yeah.
No. It was my cell phone, and I had somebody who was going by just take a picture of me. But when we parked for the evening in Montana, and we were rebuilding the engine, we saw like this crack clean through my right hand fork leg and halfway through the left hand fork leg. Those forks were just about to break. And if they had broken when I was clocking, you know, that would have been the end of me. So we caught it just in time. My team was amazing. Stefan Hertel and Chris Davis like welded this thing up and put in gussets and braces and you know, thank God for the guys who bring like full-on machine shops and welders on the Cannonball. Actually, it was the big D Cycles team that really saved our bacon, because not only did they have a welder and we were able to fix the forks that night, they also had Norton exhaust valves as spares for their bikes that we were able to machine up, and they fit perfectly in the SS100. Boom. Next day, we were back in action. It's pretty amazing. That's Cannonball magic, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I remember you talking about Glacier. I remember a memory from there of you coming down a mountain with no, I mean, the motor was off, everything. It was like, it scared the shit out of me and Leanne. You know, we were sitting on the side of the road and all you hear is this freaking Paul's just.
You know, I love engine off riding, you know, and if there's if I'm at the top of a mountain and there's a 25 or 40 mile downhill stretch, I'd love just cutting the motor and being a bicycle for a little while. You know, it's pretty amazing. And so it's a long stretch from the summit and on Glowing to the Sun Road down to basically I glided almost all the way down to the ranger station. I think it had to be like 35 miles. And that was really fun. It was raining. That's me. It was a little bit sketchy, and I only really pissed off one person, and I'm really sorry. I passed him a little too fast, and he's like, you act like you're riding a damn Ducati. He's like, dude, my engine was off. I was gliding.
Yeah, that was great. So.
What fun time. Thank you.
Yeah. So a lot of people are wanting to know, just kind of going back through the comments, you know, they're giving us really good comments and feedback on the pictures of the book, when we might see it.
I would expect it's that mock-up that we played is like 95% finished. And when we work out the last like 5%, which, as you know, is the hardest part of any project, getting that last 5% nailed, then we'll publish it, and everybody's going to know about it, because we'll of course let the whole Cannonball community know.
But we want to do it. I mean, I think the idea how Paul mocked it up. I mean, we worked on it, but anyway, how he mocked it up was that it's kind of a magazine style. It's not a super fancy coffee table book. So I think we want it to be more approachable and something that's not super precious or anything. And so I like that a lot. I like it and we're going to use some soft paper, and it's going to have a soft cover possibly. And so we're still working. There's so many details about making a book that's been really interesting for both of us to make these books this year. But
it was basically our pandemic project.
Yeah.
You know, we spent 5 months or 4 months in Mexico last year from March till July. And that's what we did. We worked on this book. And so, you know, every cloud has a silver lining, and that was ours. We finally had the time to just sit down and like knuckle into editing and choosing the selection and the format. So we will definitely, we'll have the book done this year for sure. And we'll let people know. And as Susan was saying, we're trying to make it approachable, which means reasonably priced, you know, very reasonably priced, instead of, you know, $150 hardback, you know, with stamped Guild lettering, which I would love to do, but I think a lot more people will have it in their hands if it's more like $30 or $40. And it's large format. It's like 12 by 15. It's huge.
And I also think there are some there's another book in there. There might be a book where Paul does a lot more of his, he's a writer, so he can write about all these machines and he can talk about the people and the places. But this book is more of a photographic journey. And so I think this one, it has a different feeling. It might not appeal to everybody because it's not going to tell you.
It'll appeal to everybody.
Well, but I mean, it's not going to tell you what that bike is, but I guess most of you guys know that. But anyway, I'm just saying that we really went through a lot of iterations of how this would, I don't know.
Who are we talking to?
How could we make this a really interesting book for maybe a broader public, a little bit broader public?
Well, we're almost out of time, so let's go through some of your pictures here, and you guys can tell us about this. Well, this one in particular, what can you tell us about this photo?
It's my birthday. My birthday is September 11th, and it's always on the Cannonball.
We're always on the Cannonball.
So that was my birthday in 2016, and we were just screwing around. And somebody had somebody local in, where were we? Were we in Ohio or something?
We're always in the Midwest.
Always in the Midwest.
Always in the Midwest.
And somebody local had that gorgeous Indian chief with a sidecar. We said, hey, can we pose for a photo in your bike? And they were kind enough. So that was my birthday photo. My 54th birthday photo. That's 2012. Beautiful shot by Michael Lichter of my KTT.
Beautiful.
When the bike was really running. I mean, I personally think the bike didn't want to go through the Midwest. So it just said, forget it. When we get to the mountains, maybe you can fix me. So I was able to fix it in Sturgis, and the next 1,000 miles was mountains and corners, and the bike was happy as a clam. I had so much fun going over the Rockies on a race bike with an open pipe, no lights, no nothing, rear sets. Amazing. And scraping the pegs around the corners, and it was so much fun. Exactly what I'd hoped for the whole Cannonball, but there you go. The bike only wanted to do the mountains. That's Susan and I on R25 Bruff, and Alan Stolberg from Revival Cycles on another 1925 Bruff, but that's an SS80 that he rode on the 2018 Cannonball.
Two Bruffs.
Yeah, that's another Michael Lichter shot. It's
So beautiful.
Fabulous.
So beautiful.
I can't remember that bridge is. I think it's in,
Let's get to the bottom of this, Paul. Bruff or bro?
Bruff,
Bruff.
dude.
Bruff.
You're my bro. It's a bruff.
It's a Bruff. It's a Bruff.
So I just wanted to set the record straight. I've always said Bruff, but people come to me and they go, I love that bro superior, and I just want to, we had the pleasure of having Jay Leno on with us on Shop Talk one day. And that was great, and he showed us his Bruff Superior collection. Very nice stuff. So we have more pictures. There's one more, I think, coming up. There's one of Victor Bucock in here somewhere. Oh, tell us about this.
Dan Emerson with his 36 knuckle from 2014 in Hill City, Kansas.
We always like taking photos of him. He looks great. It just works.
Super photogenic
He's
guy.
super natural, and he loves his bikes. You can tell he just feels comfortable. And every photo we've taken of him, I really like. And this is a really good photo. I love it.
Dan, I hope you're watching.
I know.
He's super photogenic, you know. And
Someone will tell him.
what's interesting is one of the things that you'll see in the book when it does come out is the physical relationship between every rider and their motorcycle. I mean, they're draped over it, they're leaning on it, they're touching it. It's like motorcycles are magic because it's the only machine that you have such an intimate relationship with. You are straddling a vibrating machine with power that's pushing you through the air at speed. And it's a relationship like no other. There is no other machine that you have such a relationship with. And so we loved showing people's physical, like how they related to their bikes. And it really kind of, it's a very cool aspect of and there's, Bill Buckingham, the late Bill Buckingham in 2014. I love this photo.
It's like he looks like he's on his, on a couch in his living room. He looks so comfortable and happy on that bike in the middle of the Bonneville Salt Flats. This is a beautiful photograph. And he just looks like,
king of the world.
Yeah, I'm it.
After Bill died, Bill worked in the film industry, and they took that photo and for his memorial, they blew it up to billboard size. And that was the backdrop of his memorial. And we were really touched that they chose to use that. And it's a great way to honor, our friends living and gone, by taking a photograph that's really timeless. Really very special. That's 2012, and that's Yoshimasa Nimi, otherwise known as Nimi, who's Shinny Kimura's partner. And Nimi lives in Japan, and he came out, that was the 2012, we were in Oregon somewhere, it was super hot, and Susan wasn't with me at that time, so I had to do the whole shebang myself, which is a lot of work, but it's nice that, I think that's Michael Lichter photo again, who took a photo of the process, which is nice, because we don't take photographs of ourselves doing the process.
And I think there's one more here, Chris, if we can find it with Victor and his old Harley Davidson. I don't know if we have it or if we don't.
You've got it in there.
Well, while we're searching, here we go. That's Victor Buchok. I would recognize him anywhere.
So Victor is the king of the Cannonball, I think, because Victor has ridden that bike before the Cannonball even across the United States alone, no chase truck, not in a rally. He's just ridden that thing across the country. He's ridden it solo to, I think he did 7 passes one year in the Rockies alone on that bike. It's his only motorcycle. So talk about a relationship. I mean, Victor's a remarkable man. He's really soft-spoken and super shy. And I've been trying to do an article about him on the Vintagent or for Cycle World for years. He'll have nothing to do with it, but I think that man is a legend. He's amazing.
No, we've been trying to get him on the show here, but we can't get him to come on.
Well,
he's got a great story.
I think we've got him. I think we've
kidding.
got him. Yeah, and the date is still to be determined, but I think we've talked Victor into coming on. At least I hope so. Last conversation I had with him it sounded positive, so we're hoping to get him on here pretty soon.
Heck yeah. Paul needs to do a book about Victor.
Yeah, Victor's got some great stories. And who's this dapper young lad?
That's me in front of my garage with a few of my bikes. You can see my Cannonball Veloset is there, and a couple of my racing Velosets, and even my BSA chopper is back there in the back.
We sold it.
But I sold it.
We finally sold it.
I had it for years, but
that kind of brings me to a question
that
I'm curious on is,
what's that?
It's always hard to pick when you have a collection of bikes to pick, which one you like, but what's your go-to bike right now? What's the one that you're most likely to get on and go?
Well, we're in Mexico right now. We have a house down here at the very southern tip of Baja, and about 6 feet from us is a 1964 Honda CL72 Scrambler that I kick around in the dirt down here. And so right now, that's my go-to. I've also got a 74 Triumph Trophy, TR5T Trophy Trail that we just brought down. Yeah, super nice. Perfect for down here. Except mine has a blown engine, and but I brought a spare engine with me, and I'm going to swap them out. And you'll see pictures of me on my Instagram or on the Vintagent Facebook or on Vintagent.com riding around on it soon.
Heck yeah. So, well, we're about out of time here. I got one last question.
My favorite bike to ride on the back of is the first bike we ever bought together. It's a Triumph.
It's a 65 Bonneville.
Yeah, it's so nice. It's so comfortable.
Yeah,
it's perfect. It works. It always runs. It has power. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
That was a bike we run around Laguna Seca on. You had one more question, Jason?
One last question, and kind of on an outro. what's the next year hold for Paul and Susan? What do you guys got planned over the next year?
Oh, so much. Well, we're going to publish this book. Susan is actually working on another book that photographs we took here in Baja during the pandemic. And we also brought our wet plate van with us this time. So we're going to take them. And my projects with my vintage team just keep growing. We're working on a feature film about a guy named Richard Vincent, who was a motorcycle racer and surfer, photographer, filmmaker in Santa Barbara in the early 60s. We're doing my next Peterson exhibit is called ATV Overland, Adventure Overland, and it's going to feature motorcycles from 1903 to, we have a lunar rover prototype, the ultimate overland off-road or off-world vehicle that's going to be included. It's built by some friends in Germany at Hookie Company. So that's always fun. I love doing the Peterson exhibits. And I'm sure we'll get a few rides in there. Maybe you should put us back on the Cannonball list, Jason.
Well, that was my second part. It was actually a two-part question of that. So what's over the next year, and when are we going to see you on another Cannonball?
Yeah, I mean, it's been moved to this year, right? September.
It's this September. Do you have the route, Jason? I mean, what's going on? Tell us about it.
We're going from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan to South Padre Island, Texas. Kind of doing that north to south thing. You know, Mexico to Canada or Canada to Mexico. So 3 flags.
Awesome.
Wow.
Well, we're certainly open to the idea. Yeah, if we can get a good mechanic and a good bike.
We miss you guys out there.
Yeah, they're out there. So if you're hearing this and you have too many motorcycles, we've probably got a pretty good mechanic who can handle it, and a safe rider. But it better be a fast bike.
So let's, in wrapping up, can you tell everybody out there where they can follow you, the different websites that you guys got for both the vintage and the Moto 10 type stuff, and where they can follow you on social media and learn more?
Yeah, we have a website for our photography. It's called moto10type.com. That's also a Facebook page and an Instagram feed. I also have, of course, the vintagent.com website, Instagram and Facebook, and all the Motorcycle Arts Foundation stuff that we do. That's the nonprofit I created with Sasha Cherevkov in New York, who built my website that you're seeing there. We created a nonprofit called the Motorcycle Arts Foundation to basically create exhibitions and do really cool stuff in the motorcycle sphere. So that's how you can find us.
Excellent, excellent.
And you can find Susie's Instagram on Susie Heartbreak. It's awesome.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. Hopefully we'll get to catch up with you here fairly soon and get to see both of you guys in person.
I'm so happy to see you.
Absolutely. I'm coming to Baja.
Yeah,
come on down.
Come on down.
It's a big place.
We got 2 bikes now.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. So, all right. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you very much. It's good to see you guys again.
Nice to see you too.
Goodbye.
Be well.
All right. So what a great show, huh?
Yeah, they're always fun, those two. They got so much to talk about. I mean, we only scratched the surface with Paul tonight.
No, you could get lost in his website for hours. I mean, it's just a wealth of information, and the pictures are great. The content's great. I mean, it's a really great thing to follow and check out. So,
well, and he's really like a world traveler, and we didn't really touch on that at all tonight. But maybe at some point we'll come back to him and talk about some of his experiences running around the world and doing all this antique motorcycle stuff.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He's always out there testing some kind of weird and rare and uber expensive motorcycle, and writing reviews on them. It's great.
And we had a great crowd out there tonight too, watching and following along. And boy, I just want to say thanks to everybody for watching the show. I can't believe the audiences see a lot of familiar names and a lot of great questions, and a lot of the Cannonball riders are watching along with us. So keep that up, folks. And Jason didn't ask you to mash your share buttons tonight, but maybe next time. How's that go, Jason?
You got to mash it.
Gotta mash it, baby.
Hey, you know what? We got a really good show next week too. It just happens to be we have another Paul on the show next week. So this week we had Paul D'Arleon, and next week we're gonna have Paul Jacobson.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Well, we've been getting some great guests, and I'll tell you what, that's thanks to you, obviously, for having this event and these names to pull from. But Marjorie Kleiman does a great job as our talent coordinator. So she's been lining these things up, and she feeds us all these really great information sheets about the guests that we're going to have on, and some of them that we know really well, and some of them we kind of just know. But it's always great to meet new people.
Heck yeah.
So I'm about out of questions. You got anything else you want to add?
No, I think we're good. I just want to tell everybody thanks. Tune in next week. We got a lot of great stuff. We're going to start posting a bunch of stuff on our social media for Cannonball and also the Chase. So be looking out there in Facebook and Instagram world, probably even YouTube world. I'll get some stuff out there. We're just going to try to get the hype going to get this event done this year. So
yeah, and I want to remind people to go to retrocycle.com for their motorcycle parts needs. Shameless plug.
There you go.
Why not? Right?
You tune in next week, you'll get a discount.
Tune in next week and
Right on. All right, man. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks a lot. Great to see you, buddy. You hang in there.
All
Thanks
right,
everybody for watching.